Now, I think it's been driven a little bit by my own need, and I'm very sorry to say that, but I am sensing with a lot of people as well that there is a sense of collective fear or anxiety, and what normally happens is it tends to magnify, and we have certain triggers that can make us feel very, very, very anxious and drop either into the fight or flight, sort of anxious mind, anxious body, or both, or either or which is your hyper, or drop down into your hyper, which is your ventral vagal, where you go into freeze flop, where you just cannot feel motivated at all. I think the loosening of lockdown has sort of had that collective mood change in everybody. And so we're going to work on embodied resourcing tools to get us into the present moment, so we can integrate both our past concerns and our future anxieties. That's really important. And when we can self-regulate ourselves within this window of tolerance between up there, hyper, above the graph line, below the graph line, hypo, okay, that will really, really help us. If we're more collectively calm, then it will spread. We are, after all, animals, and we do sense things on a very shoosh, zoom. It's like a hum that you feel, like when you hear Star Trek, and you can hear the engine going. It's like a tiny little hum. You don't really notice it, but your amygdala, your highly tuned reptile brain, is picking up the signals. It's scoping out for danger. So, embodied resourcing into presence. I'm going to be talking about sensory somatics. Now, sensory somatics is when you focus on internal perception of your experience. So you're less about thinking, you're more about feeling. And that grounds you into the present moment. Okay? A lot of this stuff has come from Peter Levine. He talks about these particular states that I've been talking about. And there is a Friendercast somatic movement integrated within yoga now. The Friendercast is sort of more like how sort of babies start to roll around and move and everything, you know, fluid movement and stuff. But like somatics, we're really going to focus on sensory experience. So what I want you to try and do in this class, I'll try and talk too much less after this, is I just want you to notice, what does everything feel like? Where do you feel the stretch? Where do you feel the sensation? With a curious, mindful exploration of your physical and mental and emotional states. I'll try and keep checking you in every now and then, but try to be sensing. So let's start the practice. Okay, I'm going to sit on something because I know when I start the practice, my knees are quite high up, and it means that my back arches and I curve forward, so this gets a nice bit lengthening in the spine. So, first thing we always tend to do, because I've talked about scoping, your reptile brain is scoping for danger, it's looking around. Like that dog that comes into a room for the first time full of people. It's sniffing, it's going underneath things, it's going behind the chairs, it's looking to see it's safe. So let's try to bring us into that place of safety. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, so let's do our orientation first of all. So we're noticing what's happening with the sensation of our neck and our jaw and our shoulders, and we feel it as we gently look around. So I just want you to look around. And I want you to have this sort of mindful curiosity as a beginner's mind, as if you've been in this room for the very first time. And just check out the colours and the shapes and the light and anything that captures your attention, anything you notice. You could group things in terms of colour. There's quite a lot of purple things in here for me. So I'm just picking out my purple. Okay, so you're scoping that around. Just notice the sensations in your head. You notice any tension in your jaw. We hold that a lot, don't we? You know, grinding, pulling back. So you can probably pick out 5 things. And then the grounding. Can you focus on 4 things that you can feel? Can you feel your hands against your thighs? Can you feel your hips against whatever is holding and supporting you? Can you feel your feet on whatever is holding and supporting you as you're looking around with interest and curiosity? You're telling your mind, you're deep down, you're telling your reptile brain that you're safe. You know. So really notice whatever is holding and supporting you. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. And then let's just check in with our centre. Let's just come back here and we'll just talk about, you know, the breath and the centre. This is really important. So when we're in yoga, we have like a hollowed out sort of abdominal area where we breathe, we are sort of trying not to like, you know, push out our lower ribs, but we can really breathe into our belly, in through our nose, out through our nose, and we have that very sort of allow the breath to be the background of our practice. It's in the background. It's like when we practice mindfulness, I sometimes talk about it. When we're focusing on other things, we can still allow the breath to be in the background of our awareness. This is our resourcing. So anytime you come across a difficult emotion, you're triggered, you can't cope at any point, you could be on public transport and you're just thinking, there's too many people here. Remember to orientate, listen for sounds, look around, look what you can feel. Maybe, can you smell anything? Can you taste anything? Feel underneath your hips, feel the feet on the floor, feel your power in your legs, feel your core, feel your belly, and focus on your belly breathing. So important. So let's just check in and bring in the spotlight of attention into our bodies. So important. Self-care, noticing what's going on, always listening to your body. So without wanting to change, fix, judge, just have a curious awareness of what your body's happening. Imagine that you've got this scanner and it's just going down from your head and you're noticing areas of tension, stiffness, discomfort, or even just the opposite, you know, anything that feels nice or nothing at all. Just slowly allow that scanner to come down from the top of your head down to your feet. Just notice. Just a snapshot. We're not looking for reasons why. We don't want to change or fix anything. We're not going to judge why it's there. Just slowly let that scanner go down towards your feet. Okay, lovely. And then just check in with your mind. What is the quality of your thoughts today? Just notice. If your mind is a car, how fast is it going? Check in with your heart centre, your space. How do you feel emotionally today? Just notice the snapshot. And then come back to your breath. As a resourcing tool, always come back to your breath and your body. My favourite resourcing tool when I'm really stressed is my breath and refocusing on the comfort and the sensation and the contours of the outline of my hands against my thighs, my feet against the floor, or both. Lovely. So, set an intention for your practice. We're going to come on down onto our back, and I'd like you to set an intention for your practice. It's a wish for your own well-being. We talked about intentions when we do mindfulness. It's so important because without intention, we are less likely to continue with a regular practice when it comes to mindfulness and yoga. Until you've ingrained that habit in over 30 or 40 days. Me, to be perfectly honest with you, since 2013, if I've missed a day of yoga, I'm usually like, what's going on, girlfriend? Are you Madonna? Do you just have Christmas Day off? But sometimes when I listen to my body, I have to say to myself, look girl, you're too tired for yoga. Just lie down, do some restorative yoga, just meditate. So, let's just lie on our backs, knees bent, feet to the edge of the mat, bring our knees together and just close your eyes and just connect with your heart space and your breathing and just see what bubbles up. What is it that you want for yourself? What do you need right here, right now? And see if you can make that into a short positive statement beginning with I am. Richard Burton said it was the most beautiful starting sentence in the world. And then make that, set your intention, say it in your mind 3 times and then let it go. Fantastic. Now we're going to start with our movement practice. Okay, we're going to start with that movement practice. So what I would invite you to do is I want you to roll onto one side like I'm doing. If you need anything to prop you up, I would just use soft padding for now. We're going to start with our somatic practicing. So I want you to curl yourself into a bit of a ball on the side of your body, and you'll need plenty of room for this. So if there's 2 of you practicing, make sure you just don't end up slapping each other. Now I'm going to do less talking and less sort of focusing you. So what I want you to do then is I want you to curl yourself into a ball, a little bit like this, and then we're going to start with our somatic practice, okay? So what we're going to do is very, 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 very slowly, you're going to open out, and you're going to focus on the sensations as you roll out, almost as if you're coming a little bit to a starfish, okay, like that. And I want you to focus on the weight and the pressure and the senses of your body as you do this. So it's like, can you feel the weight of your body against the floor? What's touching the floor? And then as you roll back in towards your tight little fetal ball, just notice the difference between the sensation as you roll back in. Try to do that really, really slowly. I'm just sort of using my hand to just stroke and just feel the tactile sensation of the floor as well. Just notice where your hip is, where your feet, the side of your hip and your feet is, and just slowly roll out. Just slowly, slowly roll out. And just notice what your hips feel like, and the back of your hands, and just really focus on this sensation. And we're just going to do it one more time. Slowly rolling into our little ball. You might notice the difference between both the contraction of the pose and the expansion of the posture. Different points of contact and weight against the floor. Lovely. And then just roll all the way into the starfish position. So in this starfish position, take your arms and your legs wide, okay, and what I want you to do is we're going to lift each part of the body 1 inch off the floor, and I want you to focus on the feeling of weight, the feeling of heaviness, and the feeling of touch as you lift things off the floor. Grounding and weight and sensation is so important for presence in the present moment. So I just want you to lift your head 1 inch off the floor. And I just want you to notice where you sense that in your neck, in your shoulders, in your head. Do you feel any trembling? What do you notice? And then very, 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 very slowly release. Then do the same with your right arm. Lift it off the floor for 1 inch. Can you feel the weight and the pressure on your arm as you lift it up? Can you feel any tension or pulling or sensation in the arm? Really focus on sensing rather than thinking, and then gently lower. And then as you lower it onto the floor, can you feel the back of the hand on the floor? Can you feel the weight of the hand on the floor? And lift your left arm 1 inch off and do the same. How does that feel? Where do you feel the tension and the weight and the pulling? And then gently lower that down, and then feel the weight of the body, of the arm against the floor. And just come back to everything, your body, your senses. And then let's lift the right leg for 1 inch off the floor and just really focus on that sensation. Maybe a sense of quivering, maybe the way that your abdomen is quivering as you're lifting. Maybe you feel any pull in your thigh. Maybe there's a real sense of heavy weightiness in that. And just drop that leg down and just feel that contact between your leg and the floor. And then lift the left for 1 inch. Okay, and then just feel that sensation. Where do you feel it in your body? This is the embodiment part. This is so important. The body knows the score. You trap your emotions, and all of your triggers, your PTSD, everything is trapped in your body. This is the best way to access it rather than, and then release it, and then notice that heaviness in the feet. So it's used in different practices such as PTSD, such as in trauma, used in anxiety. It's very grounding. Now we're going to turn our hand over now. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to really press down with our spider fingers, really press down, press really hard into the floor, and see if you can notice what's happening there. That sense of tension as you press. Can you notice where the tension is in your arm and your shoulder? Can you feel it in your head? Can you feel it in your abs? And then as you release it, and just let go and soften, can you notice the experience between tension and release? And turn your left hand fingertips down, okay, and do the same. Really press down, push. feel that sense in the shoulder, in the head. Just notice how that feels. Okay, and then release and feel the difference between tension and release. Lovely. And then press your head. See if you can really press the back of your head into the floor. Notice where you feel that in your body. Can you feel it in your abdomen? Notice where you can feel that sense of tension, that pulling, that tightness. And then as you let go, notice what completely relaxes and softens. Maybe your glutes, maybe your jaw, your face. And then bend your knees. And then we're going to do an alternation between the feet. So bend your knees and then really press your right foot into the floor. Press, 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 press. Really notice what happens with the physical sensations of your body. And then release. Feel that release of tension. Notice the softness between, as you let all that tension go. And then press your left foot into the floor. Really press down hard. Really feel that sensation. Just notice what's happening there. Notice the difference between tension and release. And then let that go. Now, if you was triggered, say for example, if you have PTSD, you would do that until you feel a sense of release and calmness. Okay, now imagine that obviously I need to swap over, so we've done one side, haven't we? We're going to swap over to the curling action that we've just done. So I was on my right hip that time, now I'm going to be on my left hip, and we're going to come into that action on the opposite side. That curling and releasing. So it sort of feels like you're unfolding and sort of stretching out, okay? And you're feeling the weight and the pressure and the resistance as you sort of release yourself. Think of it a little bit like a dance, really. You can keep your knees there, if your legs, if you're there, if you want, or you could just stretch them out. Just notice. Just keep noticing the difference between sensations, movement. Which pieces of the part of your body are touching the floor? Where's the weight? Where's the touch? Just keep moving like a little bit of a dance. It's contemporary dancing. And just spreading yourself out. Do whatever feels right. You don't have to come right into starfish. You can just twist the top half of your body and keep your knees together and your feet together. And just notice how that feels. Just nice, gentle movement. It sometimes just feels nice just to roll and stretch the legs out and the arms in the opposite direction. And you're just noticing all of this. Lovely. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to push ourselves up, but we're going to focus on the sensations of pushing ourselves up. So you need to take use your hands and then push your hands into the floor and really feel that sensation as you push yourself up. And if you want to practice this a little bit longer, you can focus on pushing and collapsing. So you can push and feel that sensation. Okay, and then you can really sort of collapse all the way down again and come back onto the floor, and you can do all sorts of different things. I know it feels a bit weird doing this, but this is what somatics is based on. This pressure between tension and release, between the movement, between touch and sense. Ooh. And it sort of feels nice. You can do this all in bed. Think of it as a kind of nice practice that you can do in bed in the morning. Really nice. And then we're just going to come round onto tabletop. So always try to have, in between each of your movements, a soft eyes and an orientating gaze, just gently looking around the room, because you're telling your nervous system underneath that you're safe and that you're not in danger. Okay, you're not in danger. So we're going to come into ragdoll now. Okay, so bring one foot forward, about fist distance apart, and the other foot forward, parallel like train tracks. And in this this part of the practice, okay, when we come into ragdoll, we bend our knees as much as we can to place our abdomen on our thighs, and we're moving into the sensation, okay? So it's up to you how you want to do this. You could place blocks on the floor, or you can grab opposite elbow, whatever feels nice. You always have to have your own options, and you do what feels comfortable for you. So what we're going to do is, in this ragdoll, we're going to do some slow moving sensory sort of bending and straightening the knees, and really focus on coming to the edge of the stretch and feeling it. Now, a lot of the movements we're going to do today are working into the fight or flight muscles of the hips and the hamstrings. Subconsciously, your body is telling itself right now, when you're in anxiety, tension alert, that you want to run away. So we need to get rid of that stored up tension in the body. Okay, when it stores up and it doesn't go anywhere, you go into chronic stress mode, and that's when freeze, flop, ventral vagal occurs. So we need to shake it out as well as we need to stretch it out. Remember we talked about shaking off the anxiety. So all we're going to do is you either grab your opposite elbow with your head heavy, tailbone going up towards the ceiling, and only move into when you feel that gentle stretch. And what we're going to do is I want you to just focus very gently move, slightly straightening the knees until you feel that stretch. Okay, just gently, and just gently moving backward and forwards, and focus on the sensation. Okay, focus on the sensation. This is all from Peter Levine's book called Chasing the Tiger. Peter Levine talks about the way that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's all about our primitive amygdala fight-flight response, isn't it? Our animalistic responses. So just very, very gently, just move into that stretch and feel that sensation. You're practicing your embodiment move. And then we're going to very, very gently, we're going to press our feet into the floor, and I want you to really focus on the sensation in your legs, the strength and power in your legs as you root to rise. So press into the floor, this is your grounding, push, 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 and slowly come up, one vertebra at a time. Your head last, 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 and then roll your shoulders up. Okay, and we're basically going to do something called tapping. Okay, this is where you find out the boundary of your skin. Very good thing to do. So all I want you to do is, I just want you to do some gentle tapping, top of your head, forehead, cheeks, jaw, soft fists, just round the back of your shoulders, over your chest. And I want you to say inside of your head what you are tapping. This is my chest. Okay, this is my sides. Okay, this is my lower back. Just say inside of your head. This is the outside of my hips. Okay, this is telling you that you're safe. You know, if you're disassociating or you're up in your head, when you're anxious, all the energy shunts up your legs and goes into your head. It's like when you feel spaced out. You want to come back down into your body, get grounded. Tapping you all the way down. This is the outside of my shins. This is the inside of my thighs. This is the front of my chest. Okay, all this tapping, and then you can squeeze your arms. It's like saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. You know when you have fight or flight and you can't think of anything and you just go spaced out in your whole body, you can't feel your body. It's like saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Here's my arms, here's my forearms, here's my hands. Squeeze, pressure, touch, squeeze, pressure, touch, ground and somatic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do something called wave breathing. Okay, so we're just going to get a little bit of breath and movement, but we're also going to work on that really important vagal nerve. Your vagal nerve is the thing that drops you into fight, flight, freeze, flop. You know, we talk about the ventral vagal phases. So we're going to have nice soft knees, bend your knees, nice and soft, and just bounce on them a little bit. Just a little bit of shaking. Because what happens when you're in fight or flight, freeze, you've got all this stored up tension in. Now, in the animal kingdom, if, say for example, a rabbit is being, you know, taken by a fox, it will pretend to play dead, won't it, or it'll run away. But if it's pretending to, you know, freeze, flop, all that tension's not being got rid of. So what the animal does straight after the event, the traumatic event, is it shakes it out. We don't do it, do we? It's been witnessed in veterans in the Vietnam War. They wanted to understand why people with shell shock were shaking. And basically it was because it was releasing the tension that was stored up from the PTSD and the anxiety. So we're just soft knees and shaking it all out. So you can just go for it really. Just shake. You can just do a bit of Taylor Swift and shake it off. I always say to the children, just really go for it. And they're very good at getting really shaky. This is all based on science, and as you know, I love science. So just shaky, shaky, shaky. So then we're going to start doing this breath and sound and movement. If you feel embarrassed about doing breath, sound and movement to activate your vagus nerve, what's said in Vegas stays in Vegas, just say it inside of your head, the sound. So all we're going to do is nice big inhale, soft knees, and then inhale, arms up, and then you're just going to go ha, as if you're throwing whatever is annoying you behind you. You're letting go of that tension and release. And then we go ha, and we just flop, soft and floppy. Really feel that sensation in your feet as you lift and lengthen, root to rise, power, power, power. Inhale up, press into the floor. Inhale, and then just go ah, as if you're just dropping 15 bags of shopping. Inhale, and just go ah, super floppy. So we notice the difference between tension and release, and the pressure as you're grounding, lifting, 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 and you just go ah. That's why singing's good for you, because it's vagal tone. That's why singing in church is good for you. That's why playing musical instruments are good for you. That's why playing a brass instrument is good for you. Singing, bass, drums, anything that vibrates and innervates your body. Ha! Last time, inhale up. You know, you don't have to go to do gongs and bells and listen to Tibetan throat singing. You don't have to do all of that. You just need to go sing your heart out, and then just go ha. And then oh. And just wiggle it all out. It's just getting all the tension out of you. It's Friday night, what a good weekend, don't we, everybody? Okay then, so if you feel a little bit uncomfortable about doing any of this stuff, don't worry, nobody can see you, and you can always keep it quiet, can't you? You can just say it inside of your head. So, we're going to come down onto tabletop now. Today I've been talking a lot about, sort of, with other clients and things, about the way that we can use spinal mobility to work on sort of like the brain, spinal nervous system health, okay, but also your lymphatic system. But we'll just talk about sort of like the way that, you know, good spinal nervous system health, all interconnected. So jazz hands. I only want to see those fingers. Shall I go forward? Shall I go back? There you go. Right, so jazz hands. Press the ground away from you. Nice wide fingers, knees underneath hips. If your wrists are tight and a little bit uncomfortable because you've been typing all week, because you've been doing the usual, just place your heel of your palm on your blanket, and then we're just going to do some nice gentle undulating movement, and you can do it however you want, because it's all about this movement, isn't it? It's all about getting all that movement out. So we're going to do cat-cow. So inhale, head up, belly down, and then as you exhale and round into cat, just slowly take your heels back towards, so your hips back towards your heels, and then slowly come up. You can wiggle your inhale up to cow. You can wiggle your hips and your shoulders in different directions. Exhale, round and back. Just wiggle it. Work on that somatic movement, and just really work on feeling the sensations, the hands on the floor, your shins on the floor, the tops of your feet. Feeling the sensations all in the body as you're pushing and pulling and stretching, and where do you feel it? It's nice. Just go with it. Do what feels right for you. Go in your own pace, go with your own breath. Inhale, head up, belly down, and exhale, round. On the exhale, push back and just move. Flow like water. And really feel The difference between the pressure of the hands and the knees as you move into the different positions. Okay. And we're just working the spine, we're working the nervous system and the adrenals, working on the endocrine system, which is your fight or flight. Remember, your adrenals, where it releases the cortisol stress response, is just above your kidneys, isn't it? And I know all about cortisol depletion from excessive stress. I had one period in my life where I couldn't get out of bed because I depleted my entire cortisol. I suppose it was like chronic fatigue, really, because I was so stressed at the point where I was a full-time English teacher. And then I realised that I couldn't carry on doing it like that, so I became a 3-day-a-week English teacher. Because I literally, just one morning, I just could not get out of bed. It was like somebody put a big, massive, like a cartoon, you know, like I was Coyote, whatever his name was. And I had somebody dropped a big weight on top of me from a cliff, as if I was like, you know, rudder and dropped on it by Coyote. What's his name? Just move and move and groove. Move and groove. And if you want to move into downward facing dog, you can do. If you want to push yourself into downward facing dog and wiggle your hips, and wiggle your knees and come down, just do that. It's all about stretching all of it out, just wiggling and wiggling and wiggling. Just do what feels right for you. Just feel that sensation, that movement. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to come into a low lunge. So if you need to pad your knees and you need your if you need your blocks at the front of the mat, go for that. So we're working into the spaces which have got the fight or flight in the hips and the hamstrings. So bring one foot forward, making sure that you sink that front knee directly over the ankle, and you're pushing your hips forward and down, okay, and your hips are squared off to the front of the mat, okay, and you're feeling, press down to that front foot, feel that sensation in the front foot, feel the power and the sensation in your thighs. It's really important. Really focusing on this area as you're grounding. Really focus on the shin on the floor. Maybe you might feel the squeezing a little bit of the glute, of the back glute, and feel the shoulders over the hips, okay. But then we're going to go into a little bit lower into this. We're going to go into lizard, so it turns into a little bit of a deep hip stretch, particularly into the hip flexor. So we're moving into that psoas muscle. Your psoas muscle is your major hip flexor, core, which is your fight or flight response because it's your kicking leg. If you need to run away from a dinosaur, it's the first muscle that really goes into action. So we're going to come down slowly, take this foot out towards the edge of your mat and point the toes towards about, say, now my left foot will be going to 11 o'clock obviously, and your right foot will be going to 1 o'clock. And I'm going to use my blocks because, to be honest, there's a lot getting in the way, what with me old girls and things like that. So you can allow your knee to come out to the side, or you can push it in towards your upper arm. But what we're aiming for is pushing our hips down and forward so you feel the stretch into the hip flexor at the front, whilst pushing your chest through your arms and going into that deep stretch. Now this might be perfectly fine for you and very, very comfortable. If you feel as though you want to access a deeper stretch and you want to go further down, for example, you could maybe go, it depends what you feel like and can allow yourself depending on how you feel today. So if you're coming down into your forearms, you're coming really, really quite low down, aren't you? Okay, which means that your knee is really going to have to go out to the side into this deep hip opening stretch. And again, you're really focusing on the weight, the pressure, the sense, the stretch and the touch. I'm not going to go into that position. It's too much for me today. I'm feeling comfortable enough with a sort of pulling my knee in towards my outer arm and pushing my chest forward and feeling that stretch. Okay, now we're going to optional to go into pigeon. There's two options of going into pigeon. It's pigeon on your front. Now, if you've got knee problems, I would not do it. So if you're perfectly fine with your knees and you scooch, so my foot was on the left side and I'm now scooching it across towards the right, like so, okay, and it's going at a little bit of an angle. Imagine you've got a stiletto shoe on, oh, RuPaul's Drag Race, and then your hips are level to the floor and your back leg is straight, and you can come down onto your forearms into this stretch. Otherwise, if your knee is uncomfortable, you come into the different version, which is the one on your back. So you bend your knees, place one ankle on top of the thigh, okay, place your hands around the thigh of the bottom leg, and you bring the shin towards your head, trying to keep the back of the head and the neck and the tailbone flat to the floor. So that's pigeon, either holding here or here, pigeon on your back if your knee is very tender. So I'm going to go back into pigeon on my front because it's my favourite pose. And please try to focus on the sensation. Now if this hip here of the bent leg is not level with the, if both your hips aren't level, I'm going to pop a block underneath that left hip of my bent knee, okay? And then we're just going to focus on the sensation. Just notice how it feels. Just notice everything. So check in with your breath, your mental states, your physical states. Check in with the ground. Check in with your legs and your feet touching the floor, your elbows. And if anything gets too difficult, always remember your resource is your breath, the touch of the ground, and your ability to orientate with the 5 senses. Always come back to that. So this is a deep hip opener, right into the piriformis muscles and the deep hip rotators. And then we're going to licky-kicky, swing it all around. So I'm going to, wherever you are, I'm swinging my leg around. Oh, I can feel that right in the inner thighs, right into the hip flexors, that fight or flight muscles. So if it's feeling really sort of, oof, come into your windscreen wipers, place your hands facing towards your hips, feet very, very wide on the edges of the mat, and just gently drop them from side to side like that. It's a nice psoas release as well. So really focus on the sensations of this movement at all times. Notice how the shift happens with your feet moving from soles to edges, knees and hips, and the twisting of your abdomen, the hands on the floor. So we're going to do all of that on the opposite side. So, come onto your tabletop position, okay, and when you're ready, bring one leg forward, making sure that that knee is over the ankle, pushing the hips down and forward. Use your hand to gently get yourself up so your shoulders are over your hips and both your hip points are like little lamp lights, going forward, nice and level. I'm feeling that stretch right in the front there. Just notice the sensations. Always allow yourself to move into the stretch with a curious awareness. We're not pushing, we're just feeling the legs, we're feeling the floor, we're feeling the contact. And then we can come down into our lizard stretch. So you can use your blocks. I'm taking my foot out right to the edge of the mat, and because it's my right foot, I'm pointing it directly at 1 o'clock. And my blocks are just here. So my knees tucking in to and I'm pushing my hips down and forward, but I'm pushing my chest through my arms. So I'm keeping my chest lifted and my spine nice and long, tucking my chin in a little bit. And I'm focusing on the weight, the pressure, the sensation and the touch. And you probably might feel, tension release. So my friend used to say, every time I go to yoga I cry, and I was like, yep, probably because there's a lot of stuff trapped in there, a lot of stuff. Different ways differently for different people. We can't generalise. Your tension might be trapped in your shoulder. I've got my tensions trapped in my levitator scapula in my right shoulder blade. It's always been there for about 10 years basically, when I had chronic fatigue and I couldn't get out of bed. It's always MS, chronic fatigue, things like that. It always seems to be right in the shoulders. It's the way that we symbolically carry all our burdens, isn't it? Everything that gets piled up on top of us, the list of things and responsibilities that we have to do. It's like, whew, I could sink with the weight of this. And then your shoulders start to go, woo-wee. Okay, so we're going to come into our pigeon. Oof. So if this is feeling a bit cranky, I'm just going to, I don't know about you, but if you're feeling that's just a little bit cranky, I'm just going to move, just moving a little bit, little waving, moving backwards and forwards just to get that tension out. It's amazing when you slow down how much you notice your body has been taking the strain, because we tend to push through it, and the slower the stretch, the more you feel. And this is so good for self-care, because you're really noticing, when you start to notice these things, it stops you from being burnt out or fatigued. That's why yoga is such a somatic practice, because we notice what's going on with our bodies. Okay, and I'm going to come into my pigeon. So remember, you've got the option for pigeon on your back. I'm going for pigeon on my front. This is, I can watch a full Netflix episode on this in this position. Sometimes do. At the moment, it's the Ozarks. It's incredibly good. I was like, oh God, it's so intense. It's like two tents, nearly very close together. Intense. It's just too much. So I'm enjoying Ozarks. I don't know why I've never noticed it. It's as good as The Wire. It's that good. I'm taking notes. Oof, taking notes from Ozarks. Oh, and just move into it, and just, sometimes it's nice just to move into the stretch and just wiggle into it and just get into all those secret spaces and places, and just sort of feel that movement and just focus on the stretch and just keep focusing on the weight and the pressure and the touch. Sometimes when you wiggle into a stretch, it sort of eases you in gently. It sort of just I always say, move how you feel. All the Friendercraft stuff, not so much the somatics, but all the Friendercraft stuff is all about just basically rolling around like a baby on the floor and doing all sorts of crazy movements. It's great. I don't think Friendercraft is me, really. It's a bit like a contemporary dance. Oh yeah. And then when you feel ready, just licky kicky. Just get that leg around. And then see if you can just get some of that tension back out of those cranky little lips, just coming into your windshield wipers. Again, just keep focusing on the weight and the pressure and the sense, and every somatic aspect of what's going on with your body. When I'm in the zone of yoga, I never even think. It is just literally me for 1 hour meditating by moving. Don't think about anything. It's just amazing. That's why I do it, because I've got an anxious body, anxious mind, and I couldn't meditate for an hour, I'll be honest. It's too long for me, because my mind takes a lot of taming. It's like a wild horse. And though I'm very, very good at noticing that I mind wander all the time, and I'm always kind of wandering, I'm always very good at doing that. I can do 20, 25 minutes. I could do yoga for an hour, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, or maybe even up to 2 hours, depending on what I feel like. I don't really do much in 2 hours. It's a bit like this, nice and gentle moving and stretching. Moving around. Lovely. So there we've got it. So what we're going to do now is up to you. We're just going to, before we do, we're going to do some grounding into the breath and some resonant, coherent breathing, which is so good for grounding into the present moment. Before we do that, you probably might need a strap. Now, my favourite pose, a lot of hip hopers are very, very grounded. My favourite pose is Happy Baby. Happy Baby. Now, you can do it one-legged Happy Baby or two-legged Happy Baby. It depends on how flexible your hips are. Whee! Now, if you're going to do one-legged Happy Baby, it depends how you feel. It depends how cranky your hips are. Sometimes when you're really tired, you've got to sort of say to yourself, yeah, my hips are cranky today. And that's really normal. I mean, sometimes I can't even touch my toes because I'm not tired or stressed or cranky and there's just gunge and gunk. So if you're going to do happy baby, you can put your belt, which you've stolen out of your dressing gown. I've got a yoga belt. So place your belt on to the ball of this leg's bone, ball of my foot, okay. And what I'm doing is I'm very, very gently pulling my knee in towards my armpit, the same armpit of the same leg. Keeping my heel pointing up towards the ceiling. So that's half happy baby. Now that's half happy baby, but if you want to go for the full happy baby, it's hilarious when I do this in primary schools because the little ones, they have to do a sound that goes with every movement. So if we're doing a baby, they all start crying. If they do a dog, downward facing dog, they bark. If they do a cat, they meow. If we do a fish, they go swish, swish, swish. They're so cute. And I do miss them ever so much. I do miss teaching yoga in all the primaries that I do. So, bringing our knees in towards our chest on the exhale and our heels go up towards the ceiling. We're going to put 2 peace fingers around our big toes, like that. Okay, our hands around the outside of our feet and we're really pulling our knees towards our armpits. We're creating this angle. Now if that is just not available to you, just put your hands here, just right behind your hamstrings, just underneath your knees. And that just pulls it in into your happy baby. So it just feels nice. And I just like to rock a little bit from side to side and just notice the sensations. Just a little bit of a back massage. Just notice where you feel the stretch and where you move into it. This is a quite yin-inspired class. Yin is it uses the meridians according to Chinese medicine. You all have different meridians. Me personally, I'm not into meridians or chakras, but I can see the benefits of yoga from a scientific point of view. Each to their own. If you like stuff like that, brilliant. Acupuncture does work though, because you are working with, you are working with the nervous system. Oh, your body's a chemical engine. Oh, hey, I remember that quote from Frankenstein. Kenneth Branagh. Probably the worst Frankenstein ever made. Kenny. More of a Ken Loach fan myself. Okay, and bring your feet back. Ken Loach. And what's his name? Who did Women in Love? Ken Russell. You can't beat me, Ken Russell. Brilliant. Music lovers, about Tchaikovsky. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to do a nice psoas stretch this time. So feet at the edges of the mat. This is a really nice psoas stretch. So what you're doing is you're getting your arms into cactus positions like that. Your elbows in line with your shoulders. Walk like an Egyptian. So, get your arms in cactus position with your feet, one foot on the left edge of your mat, the other foot on the right edge of your mat. And then just very, very slowly on the exhale, drop your knees all the way, both knees in the same direction on the exhale. And just focus on that stretch going right down into that psoas muscle. You can really feel it pull. So this is your fight or flight muscle. In yogic terms, we call this the muscle of the soul. Where they always convinced that it traps everything in there. If your psoas muscle is very, very tight, you may have a more rounding of the shoulders, for example, with the head coming forward. Obviously, working in the education, at the end of the day, spending all your hours over a desk marking doesn't help, and working over a computer doesn't help. So just nicely inhale to bring your knees up and exhale to drop your knees and just slightly swing them from side to side. Very much like a really nice windshield wiper. And just really focus on the sensation and let your head follow your knees. Again, it's all about doing what feels nice, focusing on the sensations of the stretch and the movement and the change between tension and release and just all the different parts of the body, the movement, everything. And just releasing that tension and feeling that movement in the hips, shifting pressure in the feet. How can you feel what's going on with your core, with your abdomen? Just now, I like to sort of gently move my head at the same time. You can let your head go in the opposite direction or at the same time. It just nicely, gently opens up the chest and the shoulders. Just feel that stretch across the front, see what that feels like. Just gently, gently, gently. Just enjoy the flow, just enjoy the sensation. And then just slowly in your own time, get ready for Shavasana, the final resting pose. We're going to do a nice coherent or resonant breathing, which is probably one of the most grounding breaths you can do to get you out of an anxious state or when you're really feeling the fear. 5 to 6 minutes usually works very well, which is just the time that we've got for this particular section. So what I'd like you to do then is get yourself into your favourite relaxation position, whether it's on your back or on your front. As long as you've not got skin touching skin, so your arms are away from your side of your body and your legs are not touching each other. You can prop yourself up with yoga bolsters. You can prop yourself up with lots of pillows. You can put a blanket on you. You can put an eye mask on. This is really your time to relax both body and the mind. Okay, so we're working on imagining that the breath is like a rhythmic movement, as if it's like the ocean, and the rhythm is the soothing part that works into the parasympathetic nervous system, and it calms down the flight response. Okay, so it's like a wave. Okay, so just start to get yourself into that position, and when you've got yourself really, really comfortable, ask yourself whether you can be 5 or 10% more comfortable than what you are now. So we're hoping that you can at least try to be still of mind and body if you can, but don't worry if you need to move or you need to just scratch an itch or anything, or you want to move into a more comfortable position doing this, as long as you're aware that you're moving and you're sensing it in a mindful way and you're focusing on the internal perception and somatic experience. So everything today has been about building up your window of tolerance so that you don't get triggered, it doesn't get magnified. So just listen to the sound of my voice. We're going to practice this non-judgmental, curious awareness with kindness. If your mind ever wanders at any point in this section, just keep coming back to the breath and the counting. That is your resource. Your resource from stress is counting and the physical contact with the floor. And if you prefer to have your eyes open because it's orientating yourself rather than having your eyes closed, that will help you to feel safe. You can have a nice, soft, gentle gaze. So we're just going to ground into the breath first of all, before we come into coherent, resonant breathing with that rhythmic breath. And just allow your body to soften. Allow your face, your jaw, your temples and your forehead to soften into the floor. Allow your shoulders to soften, and your shoulder blades, and your arms to soften. Your back to soften. Feel your hips softening, and your abdomen, and your chest, and your left leg, and your left foot, and your left toes to soften, and your right leg, and your right foot, and your right toes to soften. And feel the whole body softening into the floor. And bring the spotlight of awareness to notice any sensations, anything at all that feels stiff or tight, or feels tight and closed. Notice anywhere that's the opposite, expanded, at ease, relaxed. Just be curious about the experience of how your body feels now, without trying to change, to judge, to try to fix anything at all. And place one or both hands on the belly. This provides a nice, gentle, soothing touch. And notice the contact between your hands or hand and the belly. And start to notice each expansion and contraction with the breath. Try to keep it not forced. Allow it to be gentle. No control. Just feel the gentle expansion and contraction and release. A kind of slowing down of the breath. Just following the breath into the body. Almost as if your exhale is a little longer at this present moment. Not counting, but just focusing on the exhale more, a little bit more, just noticing the exhale more than the inhale. And allow the cycle to become smooth. Smooth in transition between inhale and exhale without any pauses. Just notice its rhythm and the pace, almost as if you're following your breath in a circle, as if the inhale is taking you up from the bottom of the circle to the top, and the exhale to the top to the bottom without a pause. And then we'll start our resonant coherent breathing. Make it soft and gentle, again going round in that circle. Just count to 5 on your inhale and count to 5 on your exhale. Just follow, feel the sense of the hand against the abdomen. Just follow the awareness. Don't worry if your mind wanders. Just keep focusing on the inhale and exhale. Breathe in for 5, exhale for 5. Breathe in for 5, and exhale for 5. Mind, breath, body is one. Just keep that counting, smooth flow. Inhale for 5, exhale for 5. let go of the counting. Just come back to the body lying on the floor. Just observe the quality of the body. What are you aware of with your body right now? What are you aware of when it comes to your breath, the quality of the breathing? What are you aware of in terms of your emotional tone now that you've completed your practice? Try to be aware of sounds, your eyesight, though your eyes may be closed, or the soft gaze and focus. Become aware of cool air and smell in the nostrils and sensations, the mouth, the tongue, the teeth, the gums. The practice is now complete. So do what you need to do right now. You may want to stretch very slowly, maybe move your head from side to side, wiggle your fingers and toes, and bring some sense of awareness back to the physical body, where you are in time and space, the room that you are in. To orientate yourself, look around, the colours, the shapes, the lights, anything that captures your attention. Feel the ground, and when you feel ready, come up to a seated position and just honour yourself and thank yourself for being present for yourself today, and thank yourself for looking after your well-being. Expressing gratitude for what you're trying to achieve is absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for today's practice.